it's interesting. He is really important, actually. And you're right, he's not as well known as he used to be, but he's important for a number of things related to American politics and our self-conception, I think. First of all, I think one of the most important things he did is, and this goes a little bit into political philosophy, so it's a little, it can be dry, but after the Second World War, there was really no concept of American conservatism that made any sense to anybody. The first part of the 20th century had been dominated by what was then called progressive liberalism, and it kind of broke down in a lot of ways. I mean, Wilson and FDR took the classic understanding of the American system, and I think, and Bill would agree, but I would agree, sort of distorted it. Wilson was very much, he suppressed free speech. He was clearly a Confederate throwback on race issues. FDR vastly expanded the role of the federal government, was open to national price controls, seizing industries, this sort of thing. And so what was sort of a rough consensus of American politics really changed, and there was no opposition to these figures intellectually that made sense. And so Bill really, coming after the Second World War, really invented a concept of the American political system, which we now call conservatism, which was really a classical liberalism that was augmented by an American understanding of constitutionalism. It was very distinct, what he had in mind, from the European concept of conservatism, which was really sort of what they would call throne and altar. It was class-based. It was focused on either a monarchy or the church, which was very antithetical to the kind of de Tocqueville concept America had of just citizens, equality. And you took that, and it was heavily inflected in Bill's mind with libertarianism, and then you had an element of faith in it that was part of our culture, and that was distinctive. And Russell Kirk wrote about it in The Conservative Mind in 1951, and then Bill's runaway bestseller, which was God and Man at Yale, in the early 50s, and then he founded National Review to promote those ideas. But that changed everything about American politics. That's one. Two, he was the first media superstar. I mean, he was in every channel of distribution, every format of media there was, and he had an extraordinary personality that was magnetic, and so he was the first one that did that.
And he used multimedia.
All of
we use this word today, but back then.
Yeah, and he was gifted enough, whether on television or radio or in print or whatever, live. The third thing that was really important is, from a political, conservative, right-of-center perspective, he was really focused on policing the extremes. I mean, he spent a lot of time condemning and ejecting from the movement anti-Semites in particular, Buchanan, the isolationists of Robert Taft, the Birchers, who were just tinfoil lunatics, and even the racial populists of George Wallace were really, I mean, he said, no, this is not part of our ideas, this is not part of our movement. So he really did something which today we've lost, which is policing the contours of what reasonable disagreements can be.